People are probably already asking, what is the Forever Agent? And we will get into it. And this is going to be a bit of an anthology. Each one of these points could be a 2-hour podcast in and of itself. I want to dive into this. We decided to come up with a podcast exclusively for the Forever Agent concept, which is Berkshire Hathaway Home Services' key differentiator in the marketplace. And I'm here with a guest who created the Forever Agent movement, who is the brains behind all the tactics and strategies within the Forever Agent concept, Mr. Allan Dalton. So Allan, before I turn it over to you to introduce yourself, I just want to say thank you for coming out. And thank you for giving us the ammo we need to make a difference wherever your market is within the Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Global Network.
Well, Andrew, first of all, it's great to be here with you. Thank you for the privilege of being your first guest for the Forever Agent podcast. And this will be an anthology, but I want to begin by saying something that I think would be very relevant to everyone in the audience. I'm part of the Forever Agent movement. It started with Gino and then Christy, and then Wendy Durand and Bob Watson. It really takes a village, and we've got a lot of brokers, George Pazio, Ray Mesa, Candace Adams, Kevin Wagaman, and so forth and so on. We've got so many people that are part of this movement. So I just wanted to make that observation as we get going here.
Yeah, absolutely. People are probably already asking, what is the Forever Agent? And we will get into it. And you mentioned this is going to be a bit of an anthology because we have 40 plus talking points that each one of these points could be a 2-hour podcast in and of itself. And we'll get there. Right. So in the spirit of a comprehensive overview, an anthology, if you will, I want to dive into this. Now, I'm going to give away a lot of my secrets. If anyone's watched any of my content, I've been ripping off Allan's stuff for a long time, but we want to unleash the power of this stuff to the entire global network. I'm telling you firsthand, as I think we're the 7th biggest team at Berkshire Hathaway, this stuff works if you take the time to study it. So you're going to hear a lot of information, and it takes a serious focus on really digesting what Allan's going to share with you today, because if you take it seriously, you're going to find ways that this can really impact how you see the world, how you see the industry, how you see yourself, what role you play. So I'm going to jump right into it. Ready? Here's the first loaded question. It's a big one. You're the first person I ever heard talk about this, by the way, in my 12 years, which is, why do we need to evolve from the micro obsession to the macro mastery? So first, what's the micro obsession and what is macro mastery? What do you mean?
Well, the reason we have to become more macro, because we're doing a great job with the micro, is because all of the threats and future challenges that will continue to arise are coming at the industry at the macro level. Artificial intelligence, crypto, not that that's a threat, but that's going to be a transformational change. People discount. All fees are negotiable, as we both know, but hundreds of millions of dollars, I believe, will be invested into enticing consumers to select their agent on the marketing side based on ratings, reviews, and rebates. And these are macro changes. The industry has done a fabulous job at the micro level. The micro level is the interpersonal. It's the end of the funnel. It's after people come through the tunnel from the macro to the micro. And we've got many sales courses. We've got a lot of psychology of sales, personality profiling. If somebody leans forward, you should lean forward. If somebody crosses their arms, you should cross your arms, and profiling people. And that's all great in 7 different ways of closing, and the sense of urgency close, the alternate choice close, the Ben Franklin close. We've done a great job at the sales level, but I believe we have to evolve from not being overwhelmingly a sales industry to a sociology industry. We've got to go, in my opinion, from the psychology of sales to the sociology of marketing, social media, and content development, because that's where you have to first win the battle to engage consumers at the macro level.
You know, Allan, when I heard this concept, I used to fight you on this. I used to say, no, sales is so important. I'm a sales guy. Hey, I'm good at sales. If you're not good at sales, you're not going to be able to succeed. And Allan's not saying sales is not important. It's quite the contrary. He's saying, look, we got it. We understand that you have to have good interpersonal skills and you have to listen and ask good questions. but it's about thinking a little bit bigger and how to focus on not psychology, but more sociology. That's the key. Not psychology, but sociology. So talk a little bit more about these macro sociological elements that we all could brand ourselves better with.
Well, let me give you a specific example. In 1929, I wasn't quite alive back then, but in 1929, DISC was introduced by a gentleman by the name of William Marston at Harvard University. And as you probably know, it bases on 4 basic personalities, a D, an I, an S, and a C. And most coaching programs make that, if not the centerpiece, one of the value components.
Oh, big time.
Okay, well, that's interesting. And so I believe that that's at the micro level. But what we have is that we have people who understand that that's a very accurate test. Myers-Briggs is an accurate test. But we have a lot of agents who have corrupted the original intent, and they're actually doing DISC guessing instead of DISC testing. They discovered that, boy, this is amazingly accurate in helping me to better understand my personality profile. And that's how corporations used it, Andrew. They used it as a self-discovery tool, and then they would be able to more effectively communicate, and the recipient would have a better understanding of their strengths, their weaknesses, their predilections. And everybody loved the test because it doesn't measure intelligence. It's not judgmental.
Right.
And there's great success stories in each of the 4 alphabet letters, okay?
Right.
But as I said, unfortunately, a lot of people are now using that to basically profile consumers as opposed to taking the similar amount of attention to understanding population segments at the sociology level. So that's great that we have DISC and we have NLP, and if somebody's auditory, how does it sound to you?
Right.
And if somebody, and people can even go further. We can go into numerology, astrology, and I actually did a workshop once on the difference between working with sociopaths and psychopaths, so left-handed and right-handed people. That's all at the micro level. We first have to be conversant and address the unmet needs of major swaths of the society. And that's what Steve Jobs said. Right. Steve Jobs said the key to success is not just market segmentation, but desegmentation. Look for the largest swath of commonality. Okay, who doesn't want to have an iPhone? Who doesn't want to go to Google? That's where we have to do a better job at the top of the funnel.
Well, I love what you said about DISC. And when you're comparing these things, and like, look, it's a valuable tool, but what people do is they pretend that since they were tested, that they're now a master of it, and they can immediately identify your personality. Like if I'm sitting here, because I went through DISC, hey, you're probably a C. I know you're in research and development, so you're probably really analytical. And I'm trying to label somebody. Look, people don't want people to do that to them. When I'm coming to your house to sell your house, you don't want me to come in to try to find out how I can judge you and how I can try to manipulate you based on. And the fact of the matter is, you can't do it anyway.
Yeah.
I don't care how good you are, because you didn't perform the test.
Yeah.
So,
but Andrew, the rationale would be somebody would say, "Oh, I'm doing this so I can better serve you." But that would be the response to that. But see, but otherwise, the industry has to make this decision that if this is so powerful, then we shouldn't be concealing this talent, this skill, this psychiatric skill that we've developed. Because if a person's taken a 2-hour course on how the brain works, or that psychopaths have a bigger frontal lobe in the part of the brain, or whatever it is, if we have acquired this deep, profound psychological ability, why is it being concealed? Why aren't we telling consumers? Why aren't real estate agents telling consumers, by the way, I want you to know I have developed the ability that at an open house, if 40 people come through within 5 minutes with couples, I'll be able to profile them and address them accordingly because I have this acquired knowledge, okay, within a 2 or 3 day course followed by chicken fricassee at a Holiday Inn. Why are we concealing this? How come we're not letting the world know that we've got this amazing skill? We've got to maybe rethink if it's that powerful, let the world know that we've got this ability.
Well, I made the mistake of fighting Allan on it because I am a believer in DISC, and so is he.
I'm a big believer if you take the test.
But what it boils down to is it becomes more of, I like the saying, I don't suffer fools lightly, but it is a fool's game. It's up there with astrology, numerology, and and that sort of thing. Well, give me your birth date and I'll tell you how I'm going to communicate with you too. It's just stop it. So, okay, so that's...
In other words, in one way of saying it, again, disc testing, a big yes. Disc guessing, a big no.
Right. Same with visual, auditory, or tactile. There's all these little strategies you learn once you go through
the micro level.
At the micro level. We need to go more macro.
Exactly.
So give me, before we jump to the next topic, because this one's big, and this is going to be the topic of many future podcasts, give us some examples of the macro things we could be thinking of instead of trying to profile our potential clients at a marketing presentation.
Or to make sure you have the opportunity, because a lot of realtors will say this: I get 90% of all my listing presentations. Therefore, they don't need help at the micro level. They just need to have more presentations. That starts at the macro level.
That's my problem.
That starts at the macro level, okay? And not only that, 75% of homeowners, according to the National Association of Realtors, only bring in one realtor. Realtors have been trained how to sell and how to be interpersonal. That's in the DNA. They've done that masterfully for many, many years. For example, I sold life insurance for 7 years, and I managed it. And back then, we had DISC, we had NLP, we had 15 different ways to close, sense of urgency, take it away sale. We had all of that because we were a selling industry back then. Then they became financial planners, and now they're into more of a macro and a consultative industry. And I know there's something called consultative selling, but that again is at the micro level. And so the only examples, the examples that I can give you may be seen as outdated because I'm no longer directly in brokerage as you are. You've got one of the best teams in the country. I'm in research and development. And so I not only study today's trends and trajectories, I spoke at Inman on blockchain and crypto and the metaverse, but when I think of sociology, it takes me back to how I helped build my company to 60 offices. One of the things is that I came up with the idea of doing homes guides, and I brought this in 5 different languages, 6 different languages. We did them in Chinese, Japanese, Spanish, Russian, and English. Maybe that's 5. Here's an example of one in Chinese. This would be macro. So when we did this, we weren't thinking, well, which of the people who speak Chinese are Ds? Which one might be S's, okay? Because we never get to meet these people if we don't address sociological needs in terms of that. Then, for example, when you have listings in markets that are so-called expiring,
right?
And again, these are my only examples, so forgive me if this dates me, but I created the marketing upgrade system. So I was with Murphy, Better Homes and Gardens back then. So I created the Realist Upgrade Program.
Do you guys realize how good that is? If anyone here is calling expireds, why wouldn't you have your own program called the Realist Upgrade Program?
Yeah, because look at the word that the industry uses, expired. Expired. No, let's use better terminology. Let me call somebody and say, Andrew, I'd like to come by and show you how we can upgrade your listing, upgrade the marketing.
Yeah, who wouldn't want to upgrade their own listing?
So then I created the marketing upgrade system. So it was all about how we can upgrade the marketing through a realist. We're going to upgrade the listing, and then I made it the marketing upgrade system. So this is sociology. This is a large swath of the community. When people talk about serving millennials, that's the combination of both demographics. Demographics would be the age.
Right.
Then there's psychographics, because millennials have a propensity for certain types of behavior.
Sure.
So the more that we serve large swaths of the community sociologically, then we're more likely to not be disrupted at that level. See, I was CEO of Realtor.com. That was at the sociological level, because what person didn't want more access to homes for sale? What homeowner wouldn't want more robust pictures and videos and virtuals and neighborhood information? This is the sociology. This is the marketing emphasis, and a lot of the coaching, because coaches can't develop marketing systems. They can't create your websites. They can't create your contact management system. So all they're left with is interpersonal accountability versus causing wonderful realtors like yourself to paint on a larger sociological canvas.
One of my biggest takeaways after spending the last 3 days with you now is that I've kind of mastered the micro. I'm good at the micro. I'm good at sales.
You're great at the micro.
And that's fine. And what I've kind of had the epiphany of is because I wasn't focusing on it, I'm pretty bad at the macro. I don't have any programs that address the macro. And here's one mistake I won't make again. Allan pulls up these things. Some of them are from the 80s, 90s, whatever. I mean, you ran a ton of massively successful companies. And I said, oh, what is that from 1970? And what I found was he's so far ahead that he thought of the things that we're still trying to struggle to put into place now. He was already doing them in the 70s and 80s. Guys, principles don't change. Tactics do. And we're going to get into that. So he's not saying video is not important. Social media is important. But from a sociological standpoint, what swaths of the market are we attacking? And you didn't even say some of your most brilliant stuff, in my opinion, which is, how about the lifestyle planning guide? How about moving with pets, moving with kids, upsizing, downsizing? Don't go into it. We're going to get to that. But these are all core macro things that the global network has provided for us. All this is in the Resource Center if you're a Berkshire Hathaway network member. And it's almost criminal that these agents aren't using it.
Well, Andrew, we're blessed, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Global Network, that is, right, with having Wendy Durand, the Senior Vice President of Global Network Marketing, because Wendy is a marketing guru in every sense of the word. And that's why it's been a joy for me as a content developer and a visionary of consumerism, without being too self-platitudinous here. Wendy has worked with me and then with her team in developing all of those assets. And it's good that she's a avant-garde marketing person, because a lot of brands don't have the marketing talent that we have in Wendy. They approach marketing from the advertising level. Right. We have to make a distinction between advertising and marketing. TV shows, for example, like Mad Men, that was an ad agency. 50, 60 years ago, the word marketing wasn't in the popular lexicon because there wasn't research and development. There wasn't social media. People didn't do research. They didn't test trends and trajectories. It was all about advertising and selling. And just as advertising disciplines have evolved to marketing, the entire real estate industry, in my opinion, must evolve from more of a psychology of sales mindset, to be deliberately redundant here, to one of sociology and marketing, and a manifestation of this quite necessary shift can be found in Marketing Resource and all of the programs that Wendy Durand and her fabulous team have spearheaded under Christy Budnick's direction.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I got to give a shout out to Bob Watson, who we've been with for the last couple of days, because they're rolling out the Forever Agent group coaching. And that's going to be gangbusters for anybody who wants to dive in and really try to master this stuff.
Amen.
We're going to make it easy.
He's a brand treasure.
Yeah, we got so much talent. Our bench is so deep, it's borderline ridiculous. So switching topics, because that's a big one. We can talk about sociology or psychology forever. And by the way, it wouldn't get old to a student of the game. You got to be a student of this stuff, or else you might get left behind.
Well, you know, Socrates once said that a life unexamined is not worth living. I believe that a career unexamined is not worth having. A lot of people want to focus more just on the tricks of the trade. We need to get into the trade.